We are constantly bombarded with information. Like you can't escape it. There, whether it's looking at social media, whether you're on phone, whether you're on your computer, whether you're watching TV, there's just this information overload can be taxing to the point where a study was done and over 60% of people who watch the news or look at social media are at risk of feeling more anxious and depressed. So how do we get beyond the noise and tune it out? And that's today's topic. Thanks for joining me on another episode of the Hell Well with Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle Washington, and this is your weekly mental vacation from the daily grind for busy women who just need a moment to pause, breathe, and woosah. And especially less than a week from an election, you're going to need to woosah. Like, the noise is loud, but from pamphlets to commercials to ads to everything under the sun, there's just, the news is out there. The noise is loud. It's an understatement to say that there's an overload of information right now. We live in this digital world where there's a constant flow of news, opinions. So it's not even listening or watching something, just conversations of news, opinions, media. And it can leave you feeling overstimulated. It can leave you feeling anxious. It can leave you feeling disconnected from yourselves. Like, it's natural to want to stay informed, especially when you're like, is Trump going to be the next president? Is Harris going to be the next president? And what does that mean for either one of them? As, many may not know this, I was a political science major. My first job outside of college was working on a political campaign. And so this is kind of my season. Like, I love this season. And this is when I'm addicted to watching CNN, even watching Fox News, because I want to see what the others are saying. But I'm finding myself so addicted to staying informed and reading the news over and over and looking at different points to where I'm not realizing my body is saying, girl, this is way too much. You are just like, I can't process all this information. But at the same time, I was like, I don't know how not to. Like, I want to stay informed. I want to know what's going on. But this input is like a cloud, and it is fogging up our ability to think clearly. And it's affecting us in ways that probably many of us aren't even paying attention. Like, do you ever feel pressured to keep up with everything, like all the headlines? Or keeping up with social media, what's going on with Diddy? What's going on with this? What's going on with that? Like, I feel like there's this constant pressure to always know, to know what's going on, who died, who got married, who's now together, who just dropped a new album. This constant need to be in the know. Like, we didn't have that growing up. I mean, we didn't have computers. We didn't have internet. We had the basic news in a newspaper. If you didn't hear it at the times that those came on, you were just living your life. You were just kind of going through the world. You didn't have this constant, quick information of everything. And I also feel like this constant information, this noise, leads to a lot of, misinformation. But whether it's misinformation or not, it's still information. It's still information. Like, and I ask you to ask yourself, like, do you find yourself feeling more anxious and uncertain because of the things you read and hear? Like, there's been studies showing, like, if you wake up and you start doom scrolling, that does something to your brain that will affect the rest of your day. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I started not using my phone as an alarm. I stopped waking up and grabbing my phone because I noticed the difference when I started taking in all this information. I was setting myself up to have a really crappy day. So my goal right now is where I create before I consume. I'm doing something creative with my brain and activating it before I start consuming and going down and depleting my energy, because it takes energy to process this information. When you're feeling, while you're wondering why you're feeling overwhelmed, why you're feeling drained, a lot of it isn't because of the physical things you're doing. It's because the information that your brain has to process. We need to create space. We need to create space for our own thoughts and our desires. I remember when I started my business and I was on social media and I found myself looking at other people and like, okay, I need to do it like they're doing it, especially when I was doing like just only doing retreats. I was like, well, everyone's doing it this way, so this is the way I have to do it. And I was processing this information, not realizing until I was kind of in the thick of it, I'm like, this don't even feel right. This doesn't feel like something I would do, like I would say. Because I was so busy taking in the noise, I didn't create space for my own thoughts and desires to have their own home. And there's tons of benefits of creating space. Like creating that mental space helps us tap into our personal values, our desires, our priorities. Making space for decisions is what truly helps us resonate with us. It's what makes us us. It makes us be like Kendrick Lamar, they ain't like us. But when you can't tap into that, you're just like everyone else, stressing, listening to the noise, and probably feeling hella overwhelmed. Being able to create space, that mental space, isn't just about avoiding reality. I'm not telling you to act like the world could be ending soon, depending on who's president. It's not about avoiding reality, but it's about making room for grounded thinking and that inner clarity. And there's like easy ways to go about doing this. Like it could be just mindful reflection. It could be turning off the TV and, limiting your time on social media. Taking the moment to maybe it's just 5 or 10 minutes each day to simply sit in silence, reflect. You may want to grab a journal. This isn't a time to create a checklist. It's not a time to analyze something. It's just time to be. I find when I first started doing this, my mind was still racing a lot because I was still trying to process all the information that I was taking in, even though the mind was starting to settle. So I realized maybe using a mantra or using my breath and counting my breath helped me kind of get into this quieter space to where, okay, I'm creating space for my mind to have its own pause, to have its sanctuary from the noise that's out there, from the information that's out there. The other thing I realized helped me kind of creating more space is being selective about the input. You don't have to input everything. I noticed that when I started limiting my time on social media, but also limiting what I was inputting, kind of shifting the type of shows I was watching, the type of news I was watching, how much I was reading. Because you can, especially when you're going on sites like CNN or any other site, any other blog site or any news site, you often have to click to get into it. Well, I wasn't clicking on another cop has killed another Black person because I knew that input wasn't good for my system. So when you are selective and intentionally choosing what you are bringing into your mental capacity rather than just taking in everything, that's a practical way to quiet the noise in a way that's better for your system. So your nervous system is not freaking out. Because when you start bringing all these different things in, I didn't talk about it earlier, but when you start bringing in all these news and your downloads, your nervous system's like, yo, I can't handle this. And the computer freaks out. Another thing I like to do is to create a input-free times when I'm not inputting a single thing, like creating a period in your day or your week without social media, without news, without external input, and it's a mental detox. Often these are my Saturdays when I just turn my phone on Do Not Disturb and I'm out. I'm mentally out. I'm out of the office in all ways. And I don't always do this, but I do this when I'm also doing this. Those are also days where I'm not watching streaming, because that's just another information that you're adding in. So these are times where I'm trying also not to read. So maybe I'll rest more. Maybe I'll do more yoga. I'll cook. But these are different ways. I'll dance, that I'm not adding in more information into my mind. When you're able to make these boundaries for yourself, you're able to make the space that your mind will thank you for. So as we approach Tuesday, and it's easy to get caught up in everything that's going on, I invite you to remember that tuning out the noise isn't about ignoring the world. The world's still going to happen. It's still going to be there, whether you're paying attention or not. It's more about setting the boundaries that allow you to stay clear-headed, to stay connected with your own values, feeling grounded, and anchored in what truly matters to you. So take those quiet times, get out of the noise, and listen to your own voice. Get into your own stillness. You have the power to create your own peace, your own clarity, but that all comes from an action that you need to choose to make. Are you willing to quiet the noise, to tune it out? Or are you planning on staying in this constant state of just stressed out, overwhelmed, and overloaded by information? I mean, one of the studies I saw was that I think it was 55% of people are having more issues with sleep because of all the information they're taking in. It's affecting you. Whether you're paying attention or not, it's affecting you. So be gentle with yourself, be kind, take some time, and pause. That's all I got for you this week. A friendly reminder, starting Saturday, November 16th, we'll be hosting online Kundalini yoga and meditation class. This is going to be a 60-minute class, so it's not going to be that long. But if you're not familiar with Kundalini yoga, which is my jam, I love it because it mixes movement with breathing exercises, with meditation and stillness. And it's completely different than any other type of yoga that I've ever practiced. Most of it's done in a seated position. But it's one of those times where I feel like after doing it, I always feel like I get some clarity. Each class will have a theme, especially these next 8 weeks is focusing in on kind of helping us get through the last couple of weeks of the year, setting us up for 2025. So look at the link below in the description, sign up. There's a drop-in class, so you can drop into any class, as well as there's going to be replays. Classes will start again November 16th every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that's what I got for you. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Ciao. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hello Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hello Well Danny on Twitter. And if you like hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.